For life of America.
Hi, everybody. We're joining you live right now on our digital stream for NewsNation. The Supreme Court just now dropped its decision overturning Roe versus Wade. Overturning Roe versus Wade. This is a decades-long precedent that the Supreme Court has just overturned in a 6-3 decision. Now, we knew this decision was coming, but still the impact of it certainly felt here outside the Supreme Court. We're going to get into the decision itself and the reasoning behind it from the Supreme Court justices, but right now I want to set the scene for you, and I'm going to let you know there's a lot going on. This shot is very fluid, so we're going to stay with you. We're going to do it slowly here, but we've got protesters that once they heard this decision screamed out loud in celebration. These pro-life protesters that are here behind me, they are still chanting now. The noises that you hear are pro-life protesters. On the other side of it, you had people who also screamed for a different reason, obviously, and there are a number of people that were noticeably upset and crying. You don't need a reminder to realize how divisive this issue of abortion has been and still is, but you see it here. It's very clear, that stark difference. Again, two sides of this. And so there are people here that have kind of stuck around. The decision came down about 25 minutes or so ago. There was a line of police here that have left, so what you're seeing is just the people who are now chanting and basically celebrating. The other side of it, the pro-choice side, has largely left or dissipated. They are still here in a smaller number, but much bigger numbers before the decision ultimately came down. And again, we knew this was going to come down inevitably, this decision. It was very unlikely to change because we had that draft opinion of this decision that was leaked in one of the most unprecedented moments for this Supreme Court that we had ever had. So in a sense, it was not a surprise, but as I mentioned before, the impact didn't lessen. You could still feel it out here, certainly, and people are continuing to feel it and to react. We saw some people even popping bottles of champagne earlier. You've got lots of speeches that are happening now. We saw at least one member of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, somebody who I think it's fair to say is one of the more divisive, people's public opinion of her. We saw her come through. She left. She was swarmed by people. We haven't seen too many members of Congress come out yet. Certainly we're seeing reactions on social media and all of that. Now, we can get into the decision here a little bit and how this reasoning came about. If you read the actual opinion, the 6 conservative justices that ultimately made this decision, their decision was based on the idea that Roe versus Wade back in the 70s was wrongly decided. Again, I apologize if it's loud here. There are loudspeakers, so again, all of this happening a bit fluid here. The decision that was made was because they felt that the decision, Roe versus Wade, originally was not rooted in the Constitution. Of course, it has been precedent now for decades, and this is clearly now women who have enjoyed the right to an abortion in every state are no longer going to have that right guaranteed by the federal government. Does this mean that abortions are going to be illegal across the board? Absolutely not. What this means now from this decision is that state by state, each state is going to get to decide what their rules, what their laws on abortion are going to be. The Mississippi law that sparked this whole thing limited abortion to only before 15 weeks. Once a woman who was pregnant hit 15 weeks, she could no longer eat an abortion. And that was directly contradictory to Roe versus Wade, to the decision that guaranteed a woman can have a right to an abortion up until what they call viability, the time where a fetus can survive outside of the womb. That is now totally upended. So depending on which state you live in, abortion rights all across the country are going to look very different. There may be some states that totally outlaw it. There may be some states that are much more liberal, much more lenient, and there may be states that are somewhere in between. But that's the decision that we have now. Again, reversing literally decades of precedent with this decision, this landmark decision now by the Supreme Court. We don't often get moments like this where a decision that has been in place and law for so many years is reversed, but that's exactly what we have here today. I'm going to try to walk you through. Our shot is a little bit shaky, I understand. I'm going to try to walk you through a bit and just show you what we are seeing here in terms of protests. Now, excuse me. again, the people who have basically stuck around and now are the more vocal ones are the ones who have been celebrating this. You see smiles, you see signs that are pro-life signs, pro-life messages. People, protesters, they have been out here every single day over the past couple of weeks that we've known a decision from the court was going to come down. And basically, the only thing we didn't know was which day the Supreme Court was going to land on this decision and ultimately release it. Today is the day. And so a lot of these people, we've seen, this has become a familiar scene out here in front of the High Court, seeing people, groups, pro-life, pro-choice, and so that's what you're seeing here, as you can tell. I'm going to walk you through the crowd a little bit. And hopefully you can start to see the other side again, mostly dissipated. But we have the decision coming down. Again, landmark day in Supreme Court history, and you're going to have to keep an eye on how states individually react to this decision.